Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to IL-2 Sturmovik Great Battle. Specifically, we're playing Battle of Normandy today. This video is not going to be part of a series, and I'll explain why. I was really thinking about doing an IL-2 career with the Mosquito, the World War II British twin-engine fighter bomber that's quite famous, because they added the Mosquito in the new Battle of Normandy expansion that came out for IL-2 recently. However, I've decided I'm probably not going to do a series of it because I've started doing a Mosquito pilot career here in the game, and I've discovered that actually it's unfortunately a little bit repetitive and boring. I don't think it would make for a very good series. So I thought I'd just do a one-off video where we take the Mosquito out on a mission in the career mode I've been doing, and see what it's all about. I think there's enough entertainment value in there for what, like a one-off video rather than an entire series, basically, and I'll explain why that is shortly. This is the in-game career mode. I don't use this very often on the channel. Pretty much whenever I've done IL-2 or Rise of Flight, I pretty much exclusively use Pat Wilson's campaign generator, which I generally prefer for a number of reasons I'm not going to bother going into. But the game does come with its own built-in career mode, which is what you're looking at right now. And it's nice, it's decent enough, it gets the job done. It has a very, very nice, smooth, swish user interface and everything. It's just not obviously as feature-rich as Pat Wilson's. So I tend to use Pat Wilson's when given the option. However, currently, Pat Wilson's campaign generator has not been updated for use with Battle of Normandy. I think there might be an alpha version of it available for people to test. But I'm not interested in testing an alpha version. Honestly, I don't want to complete missions and then try and do the combat report afterwards and then have the entire app crash on me, because I've had that happen in the past when I've been using like beta versions of Pat Wilson's campaign generator. So I'm not interested in that. So I'm content to just use the in-game career mode for a while if I want to do any Normandy stuff. I decided to start off as a squadron leader on this one so I could have command over which missions I was doing and all that kind of stuff. Because I do find in this game that whether you're using this career mode or whether you're using Pat Wilson's, being in command of the squadron makes the game a lot more interesting to actually play, in my opinion anyway. So I decided to start off as a squadron leader with this guy. We can go to Unit HQ, we get some background info on number 605 Squadron, County of Warwick. And here's the thing, so there's only a couple of Mosquito squadrons available to play in the career mode, and this is one of them. And if you go through the blurb text here, what you'll discover is that as soon as these guys switched over to Mosquitoes, they pretty much spent the remainder of the entire war flying these things. And what they ended up doing pretty much exclusively was nighttime Intruder missions, where under the cover of darkness they would fly out across the English Channel and bomb and strafe and attack German airfields in France, and the Low Countries and all that kind of area. And that's pretty much what they did for the entire war. And that's what you get to do in the game. You get to fly these nighttime Intruder missions, which are a very cool sort of unique thing that you don't usually do in this game. And that's kind of partly why I want to show it off. Unfortunately, that's all you get to do. And it gets super repetitive after a while. Which it must have been in real life, I suppose. But still, it's not very good. This is why I don't think it's very good, Iron Man campaign series material here. Because it would just be quite often even just attacking the same airbase on the other side of the channel repeatedly for an entire campaign until flak eventually shoots me down. This is the Mosquito that we are flying. I'm trying to... There we go. Get up the info for it. It's the Mosquito FB Mark-VI, the Fighter Bomber Mark-VI Series 2. Awesome plane. I love the Mosquito, known affectionately as the Wooden Wonder, because it was built almost entirely out of plywood. Had two dirty Great Merlin engines strapped onto a plywood frame and all the other bits you need to actually fly the plane, as well as the cannons, bombs, etc. And it made it an incredibly fast plane. It was for a bomber particularly, it was ridiculously fast. And it was perfectly suited to missions like the ones we'll be flying today. A very, very iconic aircraft, the Mosquito, and I've always loved it. Ever since I saw one in real life, actually, at Duxford Imperial War Museum. Just a magnificent plane. Love to see one actually flying one of these days. I think they have one over in Canada somewhere, but I don't think we have any in this country that are currently airworthy, which is a bit of a shame. But the old Mozzie is a legend, especially if you've ever watched the movie 633 Squadron, I think it was called. That's the one that George Lucas famously based the Death Star attack in Episode 4. He based it on a lot of movies, but that one in particular, that and the Dam Busters, is where he drew a lot of inspiration for the Death Star trench run. Was from a movie which features this very aeroplane we're flying today. So go to the planning room. You can go here, and if you're the squadron leader, this is where you get to assign who's doing what missions. You can see we've got 4 missions lined up for tonight. You can change the aircraft they're using, although in this case there's only one choice. You can, however, also change things. This is something I wish you could do in Pat Wilson's campaign generator much more elegantly. You can change the skin that the squadron is using for this mission. Since it's going to be a night mission, we're going to go for the Night Intruder paint job with the black underbelly. Our loadout for today is going to be... I'm not going to use this gun sight. I don't know exactly how it works, to be honest with you, so we're not going to bother with that. We're going to not use the open exhausts. We're going to use the hooded exhaust, because the reason we have the hooded exhaust installed is it masks the flames from our exhaust pipes, which makes it more difficult for the German gunners on the ground to spot us in the air in the pitch black darkness. So we won't be using the open exhaust, even though it does give you a little bit of a speed boost if you do. We'll have tons of Browning 303 ammo, big old chunk of Hispano Mark II cannon ammo, and we'll be taking 4 500-pound bombs, Mark 7 iron bombs. Very nice. There's lots of other options here available, but not currently at this stage of the campaign, like the 150 octane fuel, various types of rockets on rails, the 57mm Mollins gun with various options for other additional guns. I believe that's the gun they used for hunting U-boats with Coastal Command. It was this gun that was specifically, it was really good at punching holes in U-boat hulls and sinking them. If I recall correctly. I'm not sure if it's the same gun, but I think it might be. We can significantly reduce the fuel that we're taking with us to about half. That'll give us a bit more speed, make us lighter. And, no other modifications. Cool. So, gun convergence set at 200 meters. Bomb timer set to 5-second delay, because we'll be dropping at low level. We go to the headquarters screen. You can see on the map all of our missions. And these are all our targets for tonight, essentially. The one we're going to be going for, the one highlighted in yellow, one that I've assigned to myself, is this one over here. We're going to be attacking Saint-Omer-Wizernes, which is where JG-26 are based, which are my old nemesis from my Cliffs of Dover, my IL-2 Cliffs of Dover days, were old JG-26, those gits. So I'll be taking a certain amount of pleasure in bombing the crap out of their airfield tonight. You can also see, actually, on this map just how ridiculously outnumbered the Luftwaffe was on the western front of this stage of the war. Look at the number of Allied squadrons based here, and there were more north and west of here as well. So it's just a small chunk of southern England right here versus, a sprinkling of German squadrons down here. They were ridiculously outnumbered at this point. It was a very one-sided air battle. But yes, we'll be flying across the channel from our base in Manston here. And they have modelled Manston beautifully with its massive, big, wide concrete runway and everything that it had at this stage of the war. At the start, I don't think it had this, but it did later on. So we'll be taking off from Manston and then heading directly out over the English Channel, across here, past Calais itself, overhead Calais, all the way down here to Saint-Omer, and then we'll be bombing this airfield just nearby. And that's the plan. Another additional feature they have here actually is the world news page, which I do like. It's just a small thing, this, but I do like it. It's a little newspaper, and it gives you little news articles you can read, which are related to the current in-game date. So, Axis shattered by 29,000 tons of bombs. Bombing campaigns on Germany and Italy, etc., etc. Atlantic Wall Rail Center hit in history's greatest air offensive. All stuff related to the current in-game date, by the way, basically is the way it works. And we've also got the top RAF aces currently as well, and a few other little headlines you can't read the text for, but Americans pour into Anzio to push back Germans, etc. It's just a nice little immersion thing. It's quite fun. I like it. I like it. The in-game career modes, as I said, I do prefer Pat Wilson's, but the in-game career mode does have a few little itty-bitty features like that, like the world news page, that I do like, I have to admit. Anyway, realism, I think this is all set up the way I want it to. Yes. I've turned off navigation markers. Normally I leave those on, but I've turned them off on this occasion because I think half the fun of conducting these night raids is actually navigating to the target in the dark, so I don't want to be able to cheat and look at my map to see exactly where I am on this occasion. Even though usually I do actually leave it switched on. I have to admit, I do tend to use the magical map GPS in this game quite a lot, but on this occasion I think it'd be more fun if we didn't. Right, I think we want to just hit start mission now. 13 minutes this intro. I apologise for it taking so long. I've talked your ears off, everybody. I'm sorry. I sat down to do this and I thought to myself, I'll try and make this brief, and then, yeah, well, what usually happens, happened. So this is a little advert for the main campaign mode anyway. It's not just about the mission we're flying, it's also about showing that off, because you're unlikely to really see it in my videos, because I tend, as I said, to use Pat Wilson's for my actual Iron Man campaigns on the channel. We can have a look at our plane. We've already done all of the setup for this stuff, though, so there's not really much to do here other than admire the paint job, although there is one cool thing we can do. You can put a tactical code on it. This is a feature, I think, that currently only works for certain planes, but with the next big update that they're releasing for the game, they're going to expand it so that every plane in the game you can do this. So instead of having just this blank fuselage with just the roundel on it, you can actually add a tactical code like they had in real life. And in this case, I'm going to use my old one that I used to use from my Cliffs of Dover days, which was SDW, I think. Let's see. S D and then W is the aircraft. SD is the squadron code. W is the aircraft code. So we've got a nice big red SDW on the side. Lovely. That's a neat little feature. That I quite like that. And yeah, you're gonna be able to do that on all planes in the game soon, I think. So accept. Start. Here we go. Now, unpause. There we go. Right, we're ready to go. They've kicked the tires and lit the fires out there.
Angel, cleared for takeoff. Angel's leader, taking off. Out.
I've got my tracker all set up and ready to go. We can turn on the cockpit lighting here. We've got 2 levels of it, that level, and then turn on the lamps as well. This is our co-pilot here, our chum, our navigator. He doesn't have really an awful lot to do other than push switches for us and help us navigate, I guess. Yeah, there isn't a gunner position in this bomber. You can see a little bit into the back there, just over his shoulder, out the back. Rear visibility isn't amazing in the Mozzie, but it's not too bad either. It could be worse. The direct rear view is not too bad over our chum's shoulder here, over Jim's shoulder. Beautifully modelled cockpit, obviously. All of this looks lovely. Let's turn on a landing light. And no, I don't want formation lights. I want my navigation lights. There we go. That's us ready to go. We got 2 bombs on the wings. We've also got a bomb bay, which we can open the doors for and then drop another 2 additional 500-pound bombs. I must remember to do that when we actually get to the target. And we're ready to go. Now, hopefully, it's not too dark. I know that YouTube's encoding likes to really muck about with dark video footage. Like, it really it blurs everything horribly and you just can't see anything. So, yeah. Hopefully, I mean, I may just not upload this in the end if it turns out to be too unwatchable. Okay. Relatively easy to take off with, isn't it, this thing? You do need to use the wheel brakes, though, a little bit to stay on track when you start rolling, because the propellers obviously don't wash any air over the rudder in this aircraft, which means you don't have any rudder control until you're going relatively fast like this. Alright. Up we go. Didn't use any takeoff flap today, I don't think we needed it. Alright, gear up. I'm gonna wind back the RPMs to about 2800, which seems to generally be a pretty good standard on most Merlin engines. And off we go. I'm going to turn off the lights now. Landing lights off, nav lights off. We want to be nice and dark. We don't want the Germans to see us. And we're going to go in at pretty low level, really. I don't think I'm going to climb up much higher than this, really. So I'm just going to hit... let's see. We want to be on the right course is the thing. So let's have a look at the map here. What's the course for our first leg? It's about 99 degrees, so... Use the directional gyro down in the middle of the six-pack here, although there is also a directional indicator in the bottom left there, which is handy. Turn the other way. I'm going the wrong way. Let's wind the throttle back as well a bit. No need to overheat the engines. Not in that much of a rush just yet. You know what? That doesn't look right somehow. 99 degrees. It's not. That's not. I'm reading the wrong thing. It's 142 is what we want to be flying. So this sort of course here, really, roughly. This is going to be an inexact process of navigation because we're using what's called dead reckoning here. We don't have any ground-based radio navigation to work with, and we don't have a GPS or anything. So we're essentially just flying a course for X number of minutes. And then making our next turn, looking out the window and trying to spot some landmarks, so... But off we go. The moon's out. A little bit. That might help with us being able to see what we're doing a little bit more. Full moon would obviously light things up quite a bit, but the last couple of missions I did in this career mode were with a new moon, so no moon at all, and it was a lot darker, actually. Anyway, folks, now all that remains is for me to fly all the way across the sea over to France, which we can just see in the distance there. And I'll be back when we reach the other side and I try to figure out exactly where we've made landfall. Alright, folks, we're just about to hit the French coast, and I believe that is the town of Calais on our left, with some smoke coming from it. So obviously some Allied bombers have been here recently. Right, so we're slightly, it's just to our left at the moment, so we're probably around here-ish, I would say. If we want to get to Saint-Omer from here, I mean, we could just follow a railway all the way there if we wanted to, but I reckon if we fly a course of about, I don't know, maybe 120 degrees, something like that, slightly shallower one than the 133 on the chart, that should just about get us there. It's going to be a little difficult to spot until we're pretty close to it, I imagine, being inland, but I'll do my best. So we're now crossing the coast, and let's turn left now. Still flying pretty low. I imagine in real life they probably fly even lower in order to avoid enemy radar. But I don't think that's something we really have to worry about in this game, if I'm honest. Probably be a bit more flak shooting at us right about now too, but there'll definitely be some defences when we get there, that's for sure. You just wait and see. It'll be quite spectacular, actually. Anyway, I'm going to carry on this course and hope that my back of an envelope calculation there with the angle for the course is roughly correct. We'll find out. Alright, I don't know how easy this is going to be to pick out on the video on YouTube, but I can just about see Saint-Omer over there. There's a sort of little nexus of rivers, and I can definitely see some buildings, which means that the airfield we're after should be roughly directly in front of us somewhere. It's just to the west of the town, so I don't really see anything yet, but keeping an eye out for those taxiways and runways, because they'll probably be a little easy to spot in the dark. Oh, maybe that's it right there. I think I might be staring direct. I can see something which I think looks like might be a control tower. It's like a tiny grey smudge. Difficult to say. Something that could be a runway. Oh, I think I can see hangars. Yeah, I think this is the place right here. Okay. Let's gun those engines. I'm gonna come in nice and fast. Drop a bomb right off the bat before the enemy gunners and searchlight crews have a chance to actually realise what's going on.
Angel leader, patrol for ground targets on your own. Out.
Yeah, here we go. Alright, so this is going to be our best chance to actually really do some damage here, because after our first pass, the enemy defences will have woken up and realised what's happening. I'm squinting right now, trying to figure out if there's any enemy planes on the ground that I think I can see some leading up to a control tower. So I'll probably drop my first couple of bombs along this row here. Here we go. Try and take out the control tower while I'm at it. Oh, searchlights are on. Bomb 1, bomb 2, and zoom away. Now we're on the internal bomb, so I'll need to open the bomb bay doors to drop the rest. Searchlights are on. Well, a searchlight is on. Now they switched it off because they don't know where we are. So we'll come back in. I'll make another attack and do our best not to get bracketed by searchlights, because if we do, they'll start shooting at us. Oh, yep, they're coming up back on again. Looks like we got something. Oh boy. He's almost got us. Yep, he's got us. And he's lost us again. Okay, good. Open the bomb bay doors. Bombs away. Close the bomb bay doors. Mission of critical objective completed. That sounds to me like we got him. Oh, I can see fires burning down there. Beautiful. Oh boy, searchlights are on us. Right, let's take evasive action, shall we? You can see the traces from the flak guns coming at us. Ooh, those are some trees down there. We don't want to fly into those. Right, I will probably make a couple more passes with the cannons, and after that point we will be deliberately pushing our luck a little too much, I think. We are getting credited for blowing up quite a few things though, which is good. That's what we want to see. I think we might have totaled the control tower or a hangar or something. Yeah, something. Yeah, I think the control tower's gone and one of the hangars is too. Oh boy, they've already spotted us. That's not good. You can see how surprisingly agile and nimble the Mosquito is for a twin-engine bomber. It can really move. There's a reason they call it the fighter bomber, I suppose. But it is a very, very agile aircraft. Right, they're looking over there right now. Let's see if we can take advantage of that. I think there should be some enemy fighters parked along here where I dropped my first load of bombs. But I think most of them missed. Here we go. Beautiful. Zoom out over the trees here. Normally, attacking an enemy airfield like this in this game would be almost suicidal, but because it's nighttime and they have to use searchlights, it's actually an awful lot more doable for a single aircraft like this. I really like that. I love the fact that they really modelled the effect that night has, like attacking under the cover of darkness. Makes a huge difference to the enemy gunners. I wonder I think I'm going to circle back around, and I'm going to have another strafing run at the same row we just did, actually. Trick with ground attacking is not to get impatient. You want to set up your attacks properly. We still want to linger too long. The longer we're here, the more chances we'll get shot down. I don't think, in none of the missions I've done so far, has the enemy ever scrambled any night fighters to go after us. I don't think it just ever happens in these missions, which is a bit of a shame. I think that's the main reason why I feel like this is not really campaign material, because every mission pretty much goes exactly like this. You're the only plane in the sky. There are never any enemy planes. There are never any friendly planes. It's just you versus the airfield gunners on every single mission. And that does get repetitive after a while. I do like keeping at it, because in real life it probably would have been quite repetitive, so there's like a realism element to it that I do enjoy. So every now and again I do another mission in this campaign when I feel like it, but to do as a series, I think you could probably agree it would not be super interesting. Okay. Alright, here we go again. Oh, that one exploded. Beautiful. Must have been some fuel left in that one. How are we doing? How are you doing, Jim? You alright? Stoic as usual, I see. Searchlights are looking for us. That's interesting. They really they struggled to acquire us there, didn't they? If you seems to me if you space out the intervals between your attacks, they become a little bit lazy. Famous last words, I know, but if you I've attacked a lot more aggressively in the past, and I found that the gunners really, and the searchlight crew started to get really much better at trying to pin you down. Until eventually they did end up scoring some hits on me, but not enough to shoot me down, thankfully. But if you circle back out for a little while before coming back in again, it seems like they sort of go back to sleep for a little bit. I'm going to pull in here because I think I saw like a larger 2-engine plane parked along here somewhere. And this, I think I'll make this my last pass. I want to push my luck. It's along here somewhere, I think. It's so difficult to see anything in the dark here, though. Ah, there it is. It's not a twin engine, it's just another. There we go. Okay, flak's coming straight at us. They didn't even need the searchlights for that. I think my own trace has lit me up pretty good. Alright, keep an eye on what's in front of you. But also watch out for the searchlights. It would be tempting to try and take the searchlights out, and I've tried to do it before, but the problem is they hear you coming and they point it directly at you, and it's blinding. You cannot see what on earth you're doing, much less actually aim at them. Uh-oh. Ooh, ooh. Oh. Oh, he's got us. Alright. Down. Hit the deck. There we go. Oh, boy. Incoming traces. Let's move to avoid those. Okay, yeah. That's me done, I think. That's our cue to leave. Alright. The question is, what course do you want to fly? Well, roughly northwest would be good in general, but more specifically, which would be a good direction. Our exfil route here past Marquise and over to Cap Grenay is roughly 283 degrees apparently, according to this. We're roughly around here-ish right now, I would say. So, sure, 283 works for me. See the old moon up there. Pretty cloudless sky as well, actually, tonight. Weather's been lovely. There was a tiny little bit of turbulence I ran into halfway across the channel, but that's been about it. Alright. So far so good. I don't think we've even got a scratch on us. Now, one thing I want to look out for, are there any air bases between us and there? Doesn't look like there are. That's something you definitely want to watch out for, because you don't want to accidentally fly over an airfield in the dark and suddenly find yourself being shot at and being caught in searchlights when you weren't expecting it. But yeah, we should be fine. We should hit the coast somewhere north of Boulogne, it looks like. And then back across to Dover. And then back to Manston after that. Let me just, I can use a little cheat here. If I hit Control F2, yeah, there's no enemy planes in the sky. If I hit Control F2, what it does is if you've got spectator mode on, which I do have, it gives you an external view of the next enemy aircraft nearby. And there's nobody. There's also no friendlies either. If I hit Shift F2, it does the same thing with friendly planes. We can have a look at ground units, I think. Or have I just crashed the game? I think I might have just crashed I've crashed the game. Oh, fantastic. Oh, good. Brilliant. Lovely. Alright, folks. Well, I honestly thought about ending the video then and there, really, but I decided not to. I got to say, I don't think I've ever had. I mean, maybe it happened. It might have happened maybe once in the Gaston series, but I don't honestly remember. But as far as I can recall, I have never had this game crash on me like that before. Never. Once have I had it crash the desktop. Sod's law that it should happen now, right? Anyway, you can just about make out the white cliffs of Dover down there as we pass back over the English coast. There is Dover itself. Down there. There's the harbour. And Manston is directly in front of us, right pretty much exactly where my gun pipper is right now, so we'll fly across Kent here and then make our landing, because I felt like I kind of cheated you guys out of the landing, so we're going to fly the landing. Anyway, I've enjoyed this little one-off thing. What I need to do is I need to check a couple of things. I need to check if I need to try starting a Mosquito career later in the war to see if the missions change at all. And I need to try two of the other Mosquito squadrons available to see if they get slightly different missions that might make doing an actual career mode a lot more feasible and interesting. Because when I sort of started this career mode, I was like, oh, brilliant, okay, right, I'll pick this squadron here on the coast, fly some Mosquitoes. I was expected to do lots of daring ground attack missions, being chased by Luftwaffe fighters and, you know, blowing up trains and bombing radar installations and doing all this lovely stuff. And then what I actually got was an unending, repetitive stream of these night intruder missions, and then I checked, like, the squadron info, and it was like, yep, that's pretty much what they did for the whole of the war after 1944. And I was like, ah. So it might be the case that if I want to do those kind of missions, I'm probably going to have to fly a Typhoon or something, but or a P-47 Thunderbolt. But I was kind of hoping to do it in the Mozzie because I just really like the Mosquito. But I guess them's the ropes. But I shall see. Maybe if it changes later on, or if I try a different squadron, maybe I'll get something better. I don't know. I'm sure if Pat Wilson's campaign generator gets updated for Battle of Normandy, I'm sure that will probably provide a lot more variety in terms of Mosquito missions. But until then, this is just what we've got, I'm afraid. There it is. There's that dirty great runway at Manston that's incredibly difficult to miss. Right, let's head out this way a bit. Make our base leg and then turn into land. Like I said, I do enjoy these missions. It's just not video material. I like it because it gives you a little bit of a taste of the kind of Bomber Command night raids. You know, dodging flak and searchlights and whatnot. Navigating individually instead of as part of a formation and whatnot. I've always thought it'd be a really interesting game to make where you fly, you know, like a Lancaster bomber on night raids over Germany and stuff, because it was, in many ways, it would be almost like a survival horror game. I mean, you picture this, you take off by yourself, fly off into the darkness by yourself. You have to navigate all the way to Germany and back by yourself. And on the way there, you have to keep praying constantly that a radar-equipped German night fighter isn't going to jump on you out of the black and shoot you down. And then you get over the target itself, and you've got, like, unlike those searchlights back there, you know, they had radar-guided searchlights back then, and you just hope to God that one of them doesn't bracket you. Alright, slowing down now. Let's make our turn on to final. And then you've got to dodge all the flak, and then if a night fighter or someone comes after you, the Lancaster pilots, you know, they couldn't just rely on being in a formation with lots of gunners to defend them. They had to do evasive maneuvers like corkscrews and stuff to try and shake off enemies in the darkness. And then after all of that, probably with a bit of damage and maybe an injured crew member or two, you'd limp your way back home to England, and then hope that by the time you get there, let's put the gear down, the Germans haven't decided to launch an intruder raid of their own, send some night fighters over to try and catch you as you're landing, which is something they definitely did. Alright, we're shaking a bit because the gear's down. Putting the flaps down as well. Alright, there's a flare for us to land. Flaps are out. This is a massive runway, as you can see. It's designed for like big formation takeoffs. Alright, let's bring this thing down. I can't remember if I put the landing lights on or not, but... Oh, I did. Good. Alright, see if we can gently flare this thing. Go for a 3-point touchdown. Or am I just going to clonk it and stall? Actually, that wasn't too bad as landings go. I wish I'd hit the record button in the game so I could give you an action replay of that, but alas, I kind of forgot to do that. Probably should have put the nav lights on as well while I was at it, but hey. Alright, let's just taxi off onto the grass towards the hangars. Clear the runway, because realistically there'll probably be another Mosquito inbound pretty soon to land. Difficult to see out the front of this thing though, weirdly enough. You have to sort of really get up in your chair using track IR to see over the nose. Alright, that'll do. I'll stop here. Put the old flaps up. You actually see them on the back of the wing there? Not really. Not from here. Alright, and there we go. Cut the engines. Job's a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, we're home. Can you open the canopy in this thing? You don't really open the canopy so much as you open the little door down here. Did you see that? I'll show you again. It's a bit dark, so... Yeah, you open that. So, you know, if you want to get out, that's how you get out. If you need to bail out of this thing, which doesn't really... Yeah, I wouldn't want to try and bail out of a Mosquito, if I'm honest with you. It looks like hard work. Try to fit through that little hatchway with your... With your parachute pack on you and everything, and all your equipment. My God, all the while the plane is in the process of crashing. Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, unless there's some explosive pins that jettison the canopy. If you do need to bail out, I don't know if that's the case. I don't think it is though. I think you do actually have to try and crawl out of that hatch. Ugh, not fun. Anyway, there we go. Mission complete. It's going to tell us mission failed though, because unfortunately, because of the crash, I had to basically start a new mission, take off, fly over to Dover, come back around, and land again. So 0 victories credited down here, but you know, I don't really care. This mission was flown for purely for demonstration purposes on YouTube. It's a bit annoying that I'm going to have to do it again on my own time, but never mind. Well, I won't do it again, but. I'll have to just fly another one, which will be exactly the same, no doubt, because that's how this campaign seems to go. If we go to Unit HQ, or is it the planning room we want to be at? I'm not sure. That's the one problem with this with this career mode is that it takes a while for the menu to load. Here we go. Yeah, failed. We didn't destroy anything. Had to abort. Engine trouble. Honest, Gov. There's the rest of the planned missions for the night, though, and you can hit proceed, and it will sort of run the mission in the background, and you'll get to see how it turns out. This is something that Pat Wilson's campaign generator doesn't really do, or if it does, it sort of does it in the background where you don't notice it. You get to generate the mission, and then you get to see how it actually went down. So in this case, it was mission accomplished, and Lionel here, he returned safe and sound, uninjured, with his plane in good condition, which is nice. Sometimes they get damaged, sometimes they even get shot down. Generate the next one for tonight. See how the next one in line goes. Vernon Farrow, again, mission accomplished. Uninjured, unharmed. And then the last one is going to be Garnet Hector. 25 past 11 at night. He's the last one out for tonight. Obviously, this mission, sort of background mission generation, is a lot more interesting if you're doing a if you're doing missions where lots of people are involved and then they're in the daylight and stuff can happen, you know. But it looks like everybody survived. Everybody's planes are intact, so we'll call that a good night's work. If you hit next day, a new day begins for 605 Squadron. It's going to be more like a new evening for us, though, really. In our particular case, because all we ever do is night intruder raids, quite often against the exact same airfields as well. It's amazing that they're going to have anything left by the time we're done for the week. There you go. Cloudy weather. Cloud levels at 1,830 meters. Temperature's 11 degrees. Winds are from the south at 4 meters a second, apparently. We've been assigned a newbie. Philip Bradburn, with an amazing moustache, has joined the squadron. And yes, our new list of targets for tonight. Bomb more enemy airfields. This time not Saint-Omer. This time it's Calais, Marc, Calais, Coquel. The one at Boulogne. And then one all the way down here at Le Havre. That's a long flight. That is definitely a long flight. That would be an interesting navigation challenge, that one. That might be the one I do next, actually. Because the benefit of being the only plane in the sky for every one of these missions is that you can put the time compression all the way up to 8 times speed. Because the game isn't being slowed down by other aeroplanes, so you can cross this huge distance here, actually relatively quickly in game time, which is quite nice. So that might be the one I do next, actually. Interesting. Look, Clive Graham has been transferred to 308 Squadron. Apparently he got sick of flying night missions all the time and he's gone off to fly Spitfires. Don't blame him. Anyway, cheers, my dears. Thanks very much for tuning in. I'll be back on the channel soon with something to replace Cold Waters with. I was thinking it might be this, but it turns out maybe not, because it's a little bit repetitive. We'll play more Cold Waters on the channel at some point in the future, because I know it's very popular with people and they want to see more, but I'm a bit all submarined out at the moment, actually. After having finally gotten through that series, I've decided I'm a little bit burnt out on submarines, and I want to do some aerial combat again for a while. So I think we're probably going to be doing an IL-2 career mode of some sort, another Iron Man series. But I haven't decided what it's going to be yet. Still lots of options. I was thinking Mosquito, not so much anymore, but there's other options as well. I'd kind of quite like to do an Eastern Front campaign. I'd really like to do that. I think that'd be very, very fun. I love doing the Eastern Front in this game because it's really, really well done. I think it's a theatre of operations the developers of the game were particularly passionate about, and they did a really good job with it. There's also Flying Circus as well, which is these days, basically, you may remember my Rise of Flight series I did way back in the day. These days, you can essentially play Rise of Flight in IL-2, thanks to Flying Circus. If I go quick missions, I can actually show you here. Look, you can go Arras Spring 1918, and you can do World War I stuff. You can pick this here, your plane. You can pick a World War II plane if you really want to and fly over World War I Europe, which is just a bit weird and silly. but you go Entente and Central Powers, and you've got a whole bunch of World War I planes in here, some of which you'll recognise from Rise of Flight. The SE-5A, which we flew in the Rise of Flight series. So it's essentially just like Rise of Flight, but with slightly nicer graphics and sounds, basically, is the way it works. And I wouldn't mind doing a Flying Circus campaign, actually. Maybe a German one this time, actually. I'm looking at the Albatross there, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'd quite like to fly an Albatross campaign at some point. Might not be the one we do next, but at some point, I do love the Albie. The old Albatross. It's a gorgeous plane. It's probably my favourite looking plane from World War I, the Albatross. It's just really pretty. But yeah. So I think there might be another new Flying Circus expansion coming out pretty soon with some new planes. I know they're working on the Sopwith Snipe, along with a couple of others. So that's something to keep an eye on for sure. Anyway, that's enough babbling from me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed today's video. And I'll catch you next time with whatever I do decide to end up doing in the end. Leave your comments below if you've got a personal preference on something you'd like to see. And I will factor it into my considerations. But until then, folks, have a good one. Toodaloo.